The global order has been built on the UN Charter, international law, and respect for the sovereignty and territorial integrity of states. All member states need to honor these principles in finding a constructive way forward. Dialogue is the only answer to settling differences and disputes, however daunting that may appear at this moment. It is a matter of regret that the path of diplomacy was given up. We must return to it. For all these reasons, India has chosen to abstain on this resolution. I thank you.
Thank you. I now give the floor to the representative of the United Kingdom.
Colleagues, a large majority of the Council has just voted in favour of a resolution aimed at stopping war. The resolution has not been adopted only because of the single veto of the permanent member of this Council who is perpetrating that conflict. Russia claims that its invasion of Ukraine is in self-defense. This is absurd. Russia's only act of self-defense is the vote they have cast against this resolution today. Make no mistake, Russia is isolated. It has no support for the invasion of Ukraine. History will record how we voted today and which countries stood up to be counted in defence of the Charter and the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine. The United Kingdom stands steadfast in support of the Ukrainian people and will hold Russia accountable for its aggression. Thank you.
Thank you. I now give the floor to the representative of Norway.
President, Norway voted in favor of the draft resolution. We deeply regret Russia's veto. Preventing an ending act of aggression is a direct responsibility of this Council. A veto cast by the aggressor undermines the purpose of the Security Council. It is a violation of the very foundation of the UN Charter. Furthermore, in the spirit of the Charter, Russia as a party should have abstained from voting on this resolution. On Wednesday, as we sat here in the Council chamber, we could see the shocking first images of what now amounts to a full-scale Russian invasion of a free and independent UN member state. We can only imagine the hardship the people of Ukraine is going through. With their tanks, missiles, bombs, planes, warships, and cyber attacks, the Russian Federation's aggression not only violates the independence, sovereignty, and territorial integrity of Ukraine, it also constitutes a serious breach of international peace and security. Russia has disregarded the very core principle of the rule-based world order that the United Nations has stood for since the Second World War. Let me be absolutely clear. Norway insists that the Russian Federation immediately, completely, and unconditionally stops all fighting and withdraws all of its forces from the territory of Ukraine. Russia must respect the principles and purposes of the UN Charter. Norway expresses full solidarity with Ukraine and the Ukrainian people in the face of Russian aggression. Indeed, we already see the dire consequences for civilians, with casualties and injuries of large numbers of children, women, and men. We fear increased suffering in the time ahead, with potentially large numbers of casualties and extensive destruction of civilian infrastructure, such as schools, medical facilities, water, and electricity plants. We see fighting unfolding in and around urban areas. We are deeply concerned about the long-term and protracted harm to the civilian population caused by such warfare, including by the use of heavy explosive weapons. We already see mass displacement. This will only increase, together with trauma, family separation, and missing persons. The situation is a tragedy, both for individuals and the Ukrainian society at large. The parties to the conflict in Ukraine must comply with their obligation under international law, including human rights law and international humanitarian law, and ensure the protection of the civilian population and detainees. Space for neutral and impartial and independent humanitarian action must be protected to ensure safe, rapid and unimpeded humanitarian access to those in need. We condemn in the strongest possible terms Russia's military aggression against Ukraine. This Council must now carry out the great responsibility of its mandate and act in a determined and united manner to stop the ongoing aggression against a UN member state. We also condemn Belarus for facilitating these attacks. Norway will join our allies and partners in swift and concrete countermeasures. This includes the alignment of Norway to the intensified sanctions of the European Union. Let me conclude by reiterating Norway's unwavering support for Ukraine's sovereignty, territorial integrity within its internationally recognized borders. Thank you.
Thank you. I now give the floor to the representative of Ireland.
Mr. President, Ireland voted in favour of the draft resolution presented by the United States and Albania in response to the flagrant violation of the UN Charter, of international law, and of the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine by the Russian Federation. The Russian Federation has turned its back on diplomacy.